Test, test, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But probably you have to call me, right? 1, 2, 3, test. Hello? 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 Okay, but you have to call me on the line. Now? Test, 1, 2, 3, 4. Test, test, check, 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 check. Check, check. Now? Check, test, test. Check, check, check. Audio, audio test. Yes. Check, check. 1, 2, 3. Test, test. Audio check, check. This is a beautiful day, yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Adrienne Adams. Welcome to this meeting of the Subcommittee on Landmarks, Public Sightings, and Dispositions. I'm joined today by Councilmember Peter Koo. Today we're holding a public hearing on LU 590, an application submitted by the Department of Housing Preservation and Development requesting the approval of an Urban Development Action Area project pursuant to Article 16 of the General Municipal Law and an exemption from real property taxes pursuant to Article 11 of the Private Housing Finance Law for the MMN 1902 Lemley West 117th Street project. The project area consists of two buildings, 138 through 140 West 117th Street, Block 1901, lots 51 and 52, and 264 West 117th Street, Block 1922, lot 53. The proposed actions will facilitate the disposition and rehabilitation of the properties as affordable housing. The properties are located in Councilmember Perkins' district in Manhattan. We're joined today by representatives of HED, and we are going to call our HPD representatives Nelson Chan, Artie Pearson. Hi, Artie. And we're also swearing in our developers from Lemley and Wolf, Patrick Logan, and Alexandra Ramos. Council, please swear in the panel.
Please raise your right hands and state your names. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this subcommittee and an answer to all council member questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. You may begin.
Land use number 590 consists of the proposed disposition of three partially occupied city-owned buildings located at 138 and 140 West 117th Street, Block 1901, lots 51 and 52, and 264 West 117th Street, Block 1922, lot 53, in Manhattan Council District 9. The project is known as MMN 1902 Lemley West 117th Street and is slated for redevelopment under HPD's Multifamily Preservation Loan Program, also known as MPLP. Under MPLP, sponsors purchase and rehabilitate city-owned and privately owned vacant and/or occupied multiple dwellings in order to create rental housing with a range of affordability. The three buildings were taken into city ownership through interim foreclosure actions as early as 1973 and subsequently entered the tenant interim lease program in the early 2000s. The tenant associations within this cluster failed to meet obligations and were therefore terminated from the program. Currently, the buildings, as mentioned, are in MPLP and will be conveyed to the sponsor, Lemley and Wolf Development Company, LLC, who will undertake the rehabilitation of the properties to create affordable rental units. The cluster comprises 59 residential units, including a superintendent's unit. However, the current configuration is not code compliant, and therefore, post-rehab, the final unit count will be 41 in view of the necessary layout changes. There will be a mixture of unit types, including 8 studios, 16 one-bedroom, and 17 two-bedroom apartments, including one for the superintendent. The sponsor is proposing to substantially rehabilitate all three buildings, and the work includes rehabilitation to the envelope, which is a new roof, windows, facade. The common areas in all the residential units will be upgraded with new bathroom and kitchen fixtures, new doors, a new boiler, and yard repairs. During the rehabilitation period, tenants are offered temporary relocation and are provided with a written agreement regarding their relocation rights. Upon completion of the work, the sponsor must offer legal tenants the right to return to an apartment of size suitable for their family composition. All units will be rent stabilized, and a portion of the units will be set aside for homeless households. The targeted incomes for existing tenants will not exceed 60% of AMI, and rents will not exceed 30% of household income. The vacant units will be marketed to incoming households with AMIs no greater than 80% of AMI. In order to facilitate long-term affordability of the rental units, HPD also seeks approval of Article 11 tax benefits for a term of 40 years, coinciding with the regulatory agreement. The net present value of the exemption is $2,399,887,000. The cumulative tax benefit per unit is, I'm sorry, I got that backwards. The cumulative tax benefit for the entire project is $8,590,315. Councilmember Perkins has been briefed on the project and has indicated his support for this project. And we can answer any questions that you have, but before that, I'm going to turn this over to the developer to do their presentation.
Okay, thank you, Artie. And thank you, council members. And thank you, council members.
Press the button.
Yeah, you go.
Adam and Koo. I just wanted to take a few minutes to introduce Lemley, and my colleague Alejandra Ramos, who's the project manager, is going to talk a little bit more about the project, including existing building conditions and the renovation scope and the project timeline. So Lemley & Wolff is an affordable developer, general contractor, and property manager. Our development arm was started in 1991. Since that time, we have renovated or constructed over 1,500 affordable apartments, and working closely with various city agencies and state agencies, including HPD. And as already mentioned, we have the strong support of our council member who's provided a letter of support. The first Lemley companies, Lemley itself, was established in 1938. Originally managers and owners of apartment buildings in northern Manhattan, including the neighborhoods of Inwood and Washington Heights. Like many neighborhoods around the city in the late 70s, many neighborhoods were experiencing upheaval and abandonment, and at that time, Lemley took some of the first buildings through the city's fledgling preservation programs, including the PLP program. We still manage many of those buildings today. They remain affordable and have actually been preserved in some cases for a second time. Overall, today we manage 6,000 apartments across the city, including northern Manhattan, Harlem, the Bronx, and even into Brooklyn. Our construction arm was founded in 1981, first as a general contractor working on rehabilitations, including moderate and substantial rehab, and then later and currently as a general contractor executing new construction. And we just have a few examples of before-afters on some of the interiors of our recent rehabs. We try to focus on finishes. You'll notice pedestal sinks now in one of the aftershots of one of the bathrooms there. We also focus on quality materials, including in the kitchens, all ceramic, typically wood in the common areas. And on this project and in recent projects, we've been moving to stone counters as well. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Alejandra to talk a little bit about this project, starting with existing conditions.
All right, thanks, Pat. Okay, so the two buildings that are contiguous, 138 and 140, are found between Malcolm X and Adam Clayton, and then the other one is about an avenue away between Adam Clayton and Frederick Douglass. The two that are together, 138 and 140, each have 22 existing units, and then the other one has 15, so for a total of 59 existing units. Both buildings, or all three buildings, were built under old tenement law over 100 years ago, so they're very, very small, non-compliant units currently. Some of the existing conditions that we found, there's about 70% vacancy, so there's 19 existing households out of those 59. There's significant structural deflection. The mechanical and electrical systems are failing. Again, the units are very small, and the exterior needs a lot of work in terms of insulation and brick repointing. These are just some pictures so you could kind of get the idea of what the exterior looks like, the crumbling stone at 138 and 140. Some of the interior vacant units were left in these conditions. And this is pretty typical throughout. And then same for 264, the smaller building an avenue away. Also needs a lot of work on the exterior and interior as well. And as you can see, that kind of configuration in that hallway is typical for an old law tenement. So although the buildings are not in great shape right now, we do see this as a really good opportunity in order to preserve or for long-term affordability of these units. So in general, what we're proposing is that 138 and 140 be combined into one building. And the reason we're doing that is because that would take away one public area, so it'll really just be one public hall system in order to give more space to the units. We're going from 44 to 27 because we have to enlarge the units. And then at the other building, we'd only be losing one unit in order to give space back to the interior of the units as well. So that'll be 41 total, including a supers unit in the cellar of 138 and 140. And again, the 19 existing households will be given the temporary relocation agreements and be given the right to return to a unit that's adequate for their household size. We've explained this to the tenants. We've held 4 tenant meetings so far. The Councilmember Perkins was actually present at one of the meetings, and the Director of Constituent Services for his office, Rafael Escano, was present at 2 of the meetings, so they've been very involved in this process. In terms of the renovation, again, we're going to do a lot of structural reinforcement, enlarge the units. There will be new kitchens, bathrooms, windows, new heating distribution system, and everything will be compliant with Enterprise Green Communities to ensure operating efficiency. And of course, there will be a new exterior insulation and repointing as well. So in terms of our timeline and proposed financing, we have applied for 9% low-income housing tax credits, which we expect to hear on in the next couple of weeks. So we will have a tax credit investor. HPD will be one of the lenders, and we will also bring on another private lender to take on more private debt. The assumed tax incentive will be Article 11 as part of the UDAP package. And it will run for the term of the regulatory agreement for 40 years. Section 8 has been made available to the existing tenants. Those that have decided not to apply or that do not qualify will be paying 30%, no more than 30% of their income. So we will have to income certify those tenants. There will also be a 10% homeless set aside, so it'll be 4 units dedicated to HPD homeless placement services. And as Pat mentioned, the average AMI or area median income rents of the whole buildings will be 60%, which translates to about $1,125 for a 1-bedroom. And just as a point of reference, the average AMI right now in that area in the market rentals is 120%, which is about $2,400 for a 1-bedroom unit. So it's over double. So within this timeline, we've been working towards a closing in the first quarter of 2020, and hopefully we'll be able to start and get these buildings back to good shape in April of 2020. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony today. I had a question on the existing condition at 264 with the interior stairway. It looked like the interior stairway. The number of existing households was 19. Was that cumulative for all of the properties right now?
Yes. Yes.
And how many are occupying 264 right now?
5 households.
5. And who's maintaining the premises right now? To me, it looks very dangerous. The pictures here look very dangerous.
So we took over property management as of March 1st. All of the vacant, so the pictures of the interior units, those are all vacant and those are locked. So we do have a super on site. He doesn't live on site right now, but he is maintaining the properties every day as of March 1st. And the tenants call him, if they need any minor repairs. And we have had to make, minor repairs within the occupied units, but otherwise we're taking care of everything else.
And I would add that, as Alejandra mentioned, we're offering, along with HPD, Section 8 to all tenants. And as soon as they receive that Section 8, we're looking to move them out of the properties for the duration of the rehabilitation.
What's their rent right now?
Average is $135. So some of them pay $2 something or $3 something, but that's the average.
And coming in, 60% of $1,125 for 1 bedroom.
For a 1-bedroom, correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we've been joined by Councilmember Barron. Questions?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So to the question of the rents, those existing tenants, of which you say there are 19, when you're going to have them moved out as you do the renovation? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So because of the condition of the buildings, we tried to see if we could do it with tenant in place, but the structural quality wouldn't allow us. So they'll be moved a couple months prior to, or some of them as soon as they get their Section 8 vouchers, which some have, and be giving temporary relocation agreements, which states they have the right to return. And then as we finish their units, we'll move them back.
Will they return to units with the same number of bedrooms?
So the ones that have applied for Section 8, that is determined by HPD because they have to meet it depends on the household size. And then the ones that decided not to apply for Section 8, then they would be given, yes, the same bedroom number.
So they have to meet the criteria that HPD has for that?
For Section 8,
Section
correct.
8.
Yes.
And what about the rents? How much of an increase will they experience in terms of what they're paying now as to when they return?
So all of them will be paying 30% of their income, so it completely depends on that household.
So have you done an analysis to see what that dollar amount would be for those that are returning? How much of an increase that would be for them?
We have not collected full. We have to income certify them prior to construction closing, but we have not done that full analysis yet. We're still gathering that information.
My question would be what that number is, because even though you're saying 30%, if these are tenants who may have lived here for a number of years, their rent may be much lower than 30% of their income. So I just want to know what those dollar amounts are.
Right.
And I did have another question. Oh, are any of these existing tenants, are they all tenants or are there any shareholders?
They're all tenants.
Okay.
It's a rental property.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Barron. Okay, thank you very much for your testimony, panel. Thank you very much. I don't see any members of the public who wish to testify on these items, so you are excused. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no further members of the public who wish to testify on these items, I now close today's hearing, and this application will be laid over. I'd like to thank members of the public, my colleagues, council, and land use staff for attending today's hearing. This meeting is hereby adjourned.
They don't do that. They don't put these down their drains. I understand in some niches that's a real problem.